OCTA research team says the decline in COVID-19 cases in the country is not artificial but unstable. The arrival of Russia's Sputnik V vaccine is pushed back due to logistical reasons. As dozens of community pantries pop up around Quezon City, the local government issues guidelines for this initiative. A gag order was issued against NTF-LCAC spokesperson Antonio Parlade Jr. and Communications Undersecretary Lorraine Badoy following allegations for red tagging community pantry organizers. And in sports, let's take a deep dive at how the Super League of European football clubs fell apart before it even took shape. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I'm Charles Lejano. Kicking off today's newscast with the OCTA Research Group, confirming the decline in COVID-19 cases in the country. This as the group recorded a lower positivity rate over the past weeks. However, OCTA's Guido David warned that the weekly downtrend remains unstable, since we are still recording at least 4,000 cases daily. David also explained that the decline is no longer artificial, but it is still possible for cases to go up. Despite this, he believes that imposing a higher quarantine classification in May is no longer necessary.
ECQ is probably out of the question because the situation has been improving. So the government could probably opt for an extension of NECQ and perhaps maybe loosen some quarantine restrictions in the process if it wants to do so, but not easing the restrictions with respect to activities that are high risk. But if the government decides to, for example, move to GCQ, it should do so very gradually and not not rush things, because we might lose the gains that we made over the past few weeks.
Meanwhile, PALA spokesperson Harry Roque assures the public that the interagency task force will consider all sides before recommending the next quarantine classification for the country. Specifically, the IATF will look into the attack rate and hospital care utilization rates, as well as the economic health of the nation, before making any recommendations to the president. Roque also said the government's goal is to promote the total health of Filipinos, including those who have been marginalized following the imposition of stricter lockdowns. The country is approaching a grim milestone in terms of COVID-19 infections. After the health department reported over 8,000 new cases yesterday, our total caseload since the start of the pandemic is now just about 3,000 cases shy of the 1 million mark. Of that number, more than 77,000 are still active cases. Meanwhile, the local death toll stands at more than 16,000 after 200 plus more deaths were reported over the weekend. Finally, total recoveries crossed the 900,000 threshold after yesterday's 20,500 new recoveries. The first batch of Sputnik V shots that were supposed to arrive yesterday will be arriving in the country on Wednesday instead. Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez announced that the shipment has been delayed due to, quote, logistical reasons, as the first shipment from the Gamaleya Institute of Russia contains 15,000 doses. It will be followed by the second delivery of 485,000 shots on Thursday, April 29, and the Philippines is expecting to receive up to 2 million Sputnik V doses in May, followed by another 2 million in June. In other news, authorities are not ruling out Angel Locsin's possible negligence in operating her community pantry in Quezon City. They say Angel should not have invited a lot of people to her pantry in the first place. Ryan Ang tells us more.
Barangay Holy Spirit chairman met with law enforcement agencies to assess if there was negligence in the community pantry of actress Angel Locsin. Chairman Felicito Valmosina said there should have been an earlier intervention on the side of Angel Locsin when they saw thousands of people lining up, stressing that there were limited supplies and not everyone will be accommodated. He added that she should have called their attention or even asked the authorities to tell the people to go home because they cannot be accommodated anymore as their supplies are limited to those who have stubs.
Sabihan ko na ang pulis, sabihan ko na ang tanod, sabihan ko ang task force disiplina, sabihan ko DPOS na Pakisabi nyo sa mga tao, 300 lang ho ang kaya kong ipamigay, magsiuwi na kayo, mapapagod lang kayo, mahihirapan lang kayo, magugutom pa kayo. So kung nag-decide si Madam Angel nung alas 7 ng umaga, hindi na nagtagal, hindi na naghirap at walang namatay. Pero wala po siyang ginawang anumang salita.
Valmosina also said that people lined up not because of hunger but because they were invited by a celebrity to go. The barangay chairman said that Angel should not have invited anyone as people from different areas and provinces will flock the area.
Yung sasabihin ni Angel na kaya pumunta doon ng tao ay dahil sa gutom at hirap, hindi. Kaya pumunta ang tao, pinapunta niya. So sino may kasalanan? Yung kanyang pagpo-post na yan, na anyone is welcome.
Valmosina added that more than 100 persons still lined up yesterday morning, but they asked them to go home. As of now, Mang Rolando's COVID-19 test has come back negative. Mang Rolando's family has been allowed to hold a 2-day wake for their patriarch, and the barangay promised to help organize the wake in any way possible. For News 5, Ryan Ang, We Are One News.
The Quezon City Government has issued a set of guidelines for community pantries to maintain the observance of health protocols and peace and order in the city. Mayor Joy Belmonte reiterated her full support for the endeavor and said they're still not requiring organizers to obtain permits to open community pantries. However, she did stress that community pantries must comply with minimum protocols to ensure sanitation and order in their surroundings. Organizers are urged to submit a written notice to the barangay where the pantry is located, and they should include the name of the person leading the operations. They're also expected to coordinate with the barangay to enforce reasonable crowd control measures like limiting the number of persons served in a day and setting a cutoff time for persons in line. Pantry volunteers are also required to wear face masks and face shields at all times. Patrons, on the other hand, are expected to at least wear face masks while in the vicinity. And organizers must ensure that a 1-meter distance is enforced between patrons. Eating, drinking, and touching are prohibited within the vicinity, while operators must maintain cleanliness in their areas. The LGU is also requiring community pantries to operate from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. only. NTF-LCAC spokesperson Antonio Parlade and Lorraine Badoy have been ordered to desist from issuing further statements on community pantries. National Security Advisor Hermahenos Esperon imposed a gag order on Parlade and Badoy after their controversial red tagging of community pantry organizers. Esperon clarified that the official stand of the task force is to support and encourage community pantries and other manifestations of the Bayanihan spirit. And he added that he has not received any word from Parlade after the spokesperson claimed that he will resign to put an end to the issue. But the National Security Advisor appeals against defunding the task force, saying its multi-billion peso barangay development program is worth sparing. On now to sports. The breakaway European Super League fell apart before it could even take shape. Let's get the play-by-play from this Bloomberg report.
Investors are getting creative in a low-rate, low-return world. SPACs, for instance, used to be a last resort for companies struggling to go public, but they've become all the rage, at least until the SEC warned this month about accounting errors. They raised nearly $26 billion of share sales in January alone, compared with less than $14 billion in all of 2019.
The upside is if the sponsor finds a really good investment, you could still double or triple your money.
It's a similar story with cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin broke out in 2017 before plunging and shot up to nearly $65,000 last week before tumbling once again. In addition to institutional interest, the NASDAQ listing of Coinbase last week lifted crypto's profile in mainstream markets.
Our clients are asking us, can we invest in this asset and put it in our accounts and look at it.
Smaller coins like Dogecoin, which was created as a joke, soared along with Bitcoin and has Elon Musk's backing.
Doge was a meme coin. It doesn't really have a purpose. Let's put people in the safest, best stuff, not, these joke coins.
The crypto craze also fueled the rise of NFTs, non-fungible tokens, unique, irreplaceable irreplaceable identifiers created by algorithms, which gives value to digital art and other assets. There's money to be made with NFTs. In February, an animated image of a flying cat leaving a rainbow trail went for almost $600,000.
The collectibles market is somewhere between $300 and $500 billion US per total, and I think that the reality is this market could get just as large.
There was a time when the ultra-wealthy might buy a sports team as a way to diversify their portfolio. But this week, a group of elite European football clubs decided to go further and create a whole new league, a super soccer league that would turn the richest and most popular sport in the world on its head. 12 clubs from England, Spain, and Italy signed on, backed by $4.8 billion in debt financing from JP Morgan. But it created a storm of protest from fans and from UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. By the end of the week, several teams were backing out.
I myself just, kind of relieved that now some of the clubs are dropping out. This is not the European way when it comes to football.
And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us again later at 10 a.m. as we monitor the day's biggest stories from sunrise to sundown. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Just register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We're One News.